So happy Sunday. The week has started afresh, and I'm showing you guys my FiveBelow decor. I have a FiveBelow virtual haul video coming up soon. I have a Dick Blick haul video coming up first, but I wanted to kind of show you, yeah, my mess. But look, this kind of dumb greenery from FiveBelow legit kind of tricks my brain into thinking I'm looking at actual plants, which is good because I kill all the plants I try to raise, with the exception of some very tenacious strawberry plants, but those lived outside in a giant planter a while back. Anyway, I can't keep indoor plants because I kill them. So I guess we're going faux plant a go-go. So a dear internet friend of mine I've been friends with them since SCAD, like for about a decade now, posited the observation that a lot of artists have ADHD, or a lot of artists end up with an ADHD diagnosis. Not every artist has ADHD. That's not what they're saying. That's not what I'm saying. But a lot of us do. And they wondered why. And I am not a doctor, so I am going to take an armchair guess as an ADHD person who's friends with a lot of ADHD people who are also artists, why we became artists. So I've told you guys in the past, I started out as a writer. I could tell you why I like to write. I am a daydreaming kind of person. I like to imagine things. I grew up loving fairy tales and escapism, and I enjoy high emotions. And writing is a great way to indulge in all of those things. It's a wonderful way to escape your problems. It's a wonderful way to deal with and process your problems. And it's a wonderful way to contribute to an existing canon in ways that that canon may not have already reached. So telling a variety of fairy tales, setting fairy tales in different countries, making everybody an alien, whatever you enjoy doing can fit into that. So artists and becoming an artist, to me, in my personal experience, it was like being a writer times 100. So it required a lot more time, it required a lot more study, it required a lot more dedication, it required a lot of hyper focus. But I already, even though I didn't have any natural drawing ability, I had a natural affinity to cartoony art. I really liked cartoony art. That was what I was interested in. And I also had a strong affinity for nature. So I wanted to kind of, let me backtrack on that, sorry. The ADHD, it's fun times. I often would use my art to go with my stories because as someone who already has an affinity for these things, it kind of just made it more intense for me, and it was more immersive for me. I mean, that's just decent storytelling. Including pictures can really help make a more encompassing reading experience. And then I fell in love with comics, and I became obsessed with comics. I liked that it was such a strong correlation to writing, but it wasn't entirely reliant on the written word, but you're still doing a lot of writing in the background, and you can tell these big stories or you can tell these really small stories. Like, the limits with comics are limitless. You can do almost anything with comics, and that's something I really love. You can add motion to your graphics. You can have them online, you can have them in print, you can have them in both, you can have them interactive where the readers have to fold things or pull slots. You can make it like a pop-up book. And that's an area I'd actually really like to explore. But the things that are required to become, the things that are required to create a webcomic, let's focus on that. You need the ability to hyper-focus for long periods of time. And when you're telling your own stories with your own characters, that can definitely scratch that itch. Writing comics is also a bit like playing with dolls, or maybe playing with dolls was like writing comics. For me, they're both very relaxing, although sometimes with comics a little stressful. Very creative, because I used to sew doll clothes and create props and create sets. And you can use this as actors to tell the story you want to tell. So it's a very inviting world. It's a very inviting space. And for me, for many years, making comics was a safe space for me that I used to escape the problems in my life. I've talked to you guys before about I grew up in kind of an abusive environment, and there were a lot of problems in my home life, and creating comics was a way I could quietly entertain myself and also communicate with others in a way that didn't immediately open me up for conflict. I could use it as a lens to show others my world if I wanted to, and I really like that. And I found drawing, I still find drawing to be kind of meditative and very relaxing. There's something very soothing about the scritch of a pencil on paper, or of paint on paper. Even when I was doing acrylics, and I hated acrylics, there were certain things about it, and the reason I hated acrylics is my teacher had us painting 4 foot by 4 foot canvases. I'm 5'3". He didn't introduce any of additives. It was like, you just use your tubes. So I wasted a lot of paint because they would dry. And anyway, it is not the fault of the acrylics. It was a bad experience in the classroom. So for me, painting and drawing are already very immersive. They're very meditative. They're very relaxing. There are aspects that are more stressful than others, like thumbnailing can be stressful when the ideas aren't coming to you. Writing the script can be stressful when you have like writer's block, you can't hear the characters talking to you. And as someone who's ADHD with a very big imagination, if I'm in the zone, I can hear the characters telling me what the story's going to be. So those are elements that really lean well to the ADHD mind. Also, many of us, not all of us, but many of us have social problems or had social problems, or we have personalities that others, I like to describe it as a very strong taste. I am probably like fermented pickles or kimchi or something like that, where some people love me, and some people absolutely cannot stand me, and there's not a lot of in between. So as a kid, I had a few very close friends, but I spent a lot of time alone, especially, again, circling back. I did grow up in an abusive household. There were times I wouldn't invite people over because I didn't know how my dad was going to react that evening. Or my mom was really very strict, so sometimes I just spent a lot of time by myself. And I didn't have access to video games, and there was a time when I wasn't even allowed to watch cartoons. So I definitely did a lot of drawing and writing in that time period. And that's not a universal experience, but I know a lot of ADHD people around my age, their parents, in a way to try and mitigate the ADHD, would limit things that the kids were very interested in because they saw it as obsessive. So I have a lot of friends who weren't allowed to play video games during certain parts of their childhood because their parents thought it would be distracting from their schoolwork, without any real basis other than other people told them that. Or they weren't allowed to watch cartoons for the sake, because they might get overstimulated or they might get over obsessed with the cartoon. They had difficulty kind of regulating their attachment to it. And that's something I struggle with these vlogs, actually, because I do tend to get very worked up about certain topics, and I do tend to get very involved with certain topics. And sometimes when I get on a topic, it's very hard for me to get off of it again. So I'll just repeat myself. And people take that as I'm ranting, and that's not my intention and not my goal, but unfortunately, sometimes that happens with ADHD. So I work really well talking to people because I can see their reaction, I can see their response, I can kind of change what I'm doing. Online is a whole scary kettle of fish sometimes, especially when we add video components. Even streams are easier because I can read the comments, and also Joseph usually helps me out a lot, and he'll be like, okay, you've been talking about that for a lot, time to talk about not that, and I appreciate that. Sometimes I think people might see that kind of stuff as controlling, but I can choose to ignore him. I can do what I want. He is just helping me read the room when there isn't a room to read, and I greatly appreciate that. I wish he'd sit in when I recorded the vlogs. I know that's asking way too much, because he could be like, okay, you talked about that a lot, and I can be like, you're right, let's talk about something else. So anyway, ADHD and artists. Okay, so we've got hyperfocus, we've got the tendency to sometimes obsess or fixate on one thing, and that can be drawing, and with drawing, that can be a wonderful thing. And then that's also something people praise you for. It's like, I also know a lot of musicians who also have ADHD, and it's because it's a thing that's soothing, it's a thing we enjoy, it's a thing that has kind of a straightforward improvement path. You do these things and you can improve, you put the time in and you can improve. And a lot of ADHD people actually respond really well to that kind of structure. It's a creative thing that you can kind of vary, like how structured it is. You can opt to have the same day every day, where you wake up, you eat breakfast, you do drawing warm-ups, or you practice scales for X amount of time, you learn a new song, or you practice drawing a new animal. But it can also be a very free-flowing, creative thing where you improvise, like jazz. You can just do, you know, what's the word? Not subconscious drawing or unconscious drawing, where you're not actively thinking about what you're drawing, but you're just letting automatic drawing, you're just letting your hand go, and then you can try to turn it into something. So that is also that both routine and structure, but also the ability to kind of branch out and do your own thing is very appealing to ADHD people. And then also, some ADHD people do not do well with authority figures, and then some really like a clear chain of command, clear structure. Like a lot of ADHD people end up going into the military because they like the structure, they like the chain of command, they like knowing what their day is going to look like every single day. And that's something I definitely also admire. That's why I hated school. I love the structure of school. I love rubrics. I love knowing what was expected of me. I liked knowing that if I did certain things, I would achieve certain results. And that's an approach I definitely take with my art and my reviews. That's kind of why I review things the way I review them, and why I enjoy reviewing things, is if you do certain things, you should see certain results. If you don't see certain results, it means certain things, and I really like that. Now, there are also reasons why an ADHD person might go into art, and I'm speaking really specifically to comics here. Might go into art and then it pushes them out. There's a lot of self-employment, and that requires that, while that has a lot of freedom, it has a lot of freedom to make missteps. And, you know, while there are art mentorships, many of us don't benefit from that and would not even know how to seek out a mentorship or ask for a mentorship. And yes, many colleges say they offer such support, and then they don't. So that is an area where many of us would really thrive. Having a mentor who's been here before can guide some of our movements, so we're not just like stabbing in the dark to figure out what's ahead of us. And it's just not necessarily all that feasible. There's also a lot of self-promotion, and many ADHD people were taught at an early age, you don't talk about yourself too much, because we do have a tendency to be considered selfish, because we do tend to center things around ourselves so that we can better understand the world. So like if you're talking to an ADHD friend and they keep making it about themselves, it may not be that they're a jerk. It may be they're empathizing with you, and that's how we typically tend to do it. And quite frankly, you can turn the conversation back to yourself. It's not rude to do that. I have a problem where I'll be talking to other people about something going on in my life, and they keep making it about themselves, and I read that as they don't care. But what it really often means is they're trying to empathize with you, and it's just challenging to do that. And to be frank, if you did not grow up in a household where your parents were great at that, and I didn't grow up in a household where my parents were great at that, you might have learned how to do it from television, and that's not really the best way to learn how to do it. So we should all just try to be more patient with each other and try to communicate more clearly, which is scary, I know. Gee whiz. Okay, so self-promotion can be a challenge because we feel weird talking about ourselves, or we were told from a young age not to have such a big ego, or not to be overconfident, or people were always finding ways to cut us down. I'm going to misquote this, but there's a quote about people with ADHD. Oh, I'm not even going to try. It's something about, I totally lost it, sorry. It's not that important a quote to me, but now it's going to bother me. Anyway, we're talking about why artists tend to go, or ADHD people tend to go into art, and it does tend to really just scratch that itch. And a lot of ADHD people, because of the way our brains are wired, we tend to be out-of-the-box thinkers, which I love. I love that about ADHD. I love that I can be a really good, effective problem solver because I don't always go for the obvious solution. And that's wonderful for art. And many ADHD people don't like following rules, which can be good and bad for art. I'm a rule follower when the rules make sense. But when the rule, or when they help other people, or when they benefit society, I'm a big rule follower in those instances. But I'm not so keen on rules that are just rules to be rules. And I think the fine art world is full of rules to be rules. or rules for gatekeeping. I don't like that either. And many ADHD people don't like rules as well, or they resist against rules. And art is such a wonderful opportunity to rebel in a safe way. You know, they tell you don't do fat over lean, then do lean over fat. You know, try it. And that's how you find out new techniques and you find out new things, is that impulsivity to just do the thing and see what happens, and maybe I ruin it. I call it fall or fly. I'll either fall, but at least I learned something, or I'll fly and I learned something. So I know nobody asked me, but I've noticed that there are a lot of ADHD people in art, especially the past 3 years, where more people are able to get a diagnosis, more adults are able to get a diagnosis, more information is available about you're not bog standard ADHD. For the longest time, they thought ADHD was a little boy thing. So now they've expanded their definitions. They're learning how to recognize it in different people. And more people are recognizing it in themselves, because people like me and other ADHD vloggers are talking about our experiences, and people see that and they're like, that's me. And then they go talk to a doctor and they're able to get a diagnosis. So more artists I know, some of them very successful artists, are getting diagnosed as having ADHD. And I'm beginning to wonder if just maybe most artists are ADHD. Because there's a lot of us. And maybe that's just the way our brains are wired. But maybe that also has something to do with the starving artist perception, because a lot of people with ADHD, not all, but a lot, do struggle with math. Many struggle with finances, whether it's impulsive buying or they're afraid to put themselves out there. They have anxiety and confidence issues like myself, or they have a personality that might be a little bit grating like me, and they're a very acquired taste, and not everybody wants that taste. There are definitely ADHD artists who do very well for themselves, both in the studio sector, the gig employment sector, and in the self-employment sector. And many of them find that they do really well as convention artists because they are their own bosses, but there is structure, there's a way generally you do things, but you can break free of that, so it kind of becomes more like a medium than a requirement, which I think some people do really well with. Anyway, please keep in mind, most of that is couched from my own personal experience. It is based not on real research, anecdotal research, just people I know, and ADHD people do tend to flock together, even if they don't realize they're ADHD. There's something about the personality that's just simpatico. So take it with a massive grain of salt. I'm not diagnosing anyone. I'm not offering any kind of ADHD advice. I'm just kind of talking about what I've observed myself, which is admittedly not the biggest sample size ever. And I'm also basing it on ADHD books that I've read, which, you know, it's a your mileage may vary situation. And I always want to caveat this, because I do notice some people talk about ADHD. They don't have a medical degree. This wasn't their field of study. And they talk about it as though they are a professional in it, and they're not. So I always want to distance myself from that, because I think that can be reductive, and I think that can be harmful, because we don't all have the same experiences. Often we have wildly varied experiences, which I know is weird because we all have the same disorder, but you also got to keep in mind your upbringing has such a huge role to play in this. I've taught kids who are homeschooled in ADHD, and their homeschooling ties in with that, and their parents are very flexible with when material is presented. They try to catch their kid at their best, and if the kid is just not mathing today, they're able to switch to, we're going to do a field trip. And those kids, I've noticed, tend to be incredibly confident and articulate, and while they are still ADHD and there's still ADHD issues at play, when I compare them to who I was at that age, I feel like they have had a richer experience, because, I mean, to be fair, their parents had 20 years on my parents, 20 years of ADHD progress and information on how to help kids with ADHD. So, you know, again, so many variables make us all into different, wonderful, beautiful people. And I just hope we can be respectful to each other and be considerate to each other and be kind to one another and try to embrace those differences as well as those commonalities. So, yes. That is why I think there are so many ADHD people in art. Although, there are also a lot of ADHD people in acting and in music and probably in directing, and honestly, any creative field probably attracts a lot of ADHD people because of that out-of-the-box ability to solve problems can make us uniquely valuable in a way that people who don't have ADHD may not be able to do. All right, I'm gonna get to painting. So a lot of today was spent working on that watercolor illustration I showed you guys in last week's vlog. That's the funny thing about the Saturday-Sunday split is stuff can happen in 2 consecutive days, but you gotta wait a whole week to see how they turn out. And I thought I'd show you guys a little bit more behind the scenes recording and painting process. So I'm using a secondary camera to capture this footage now, but I am gonna switch back over to my primary camera and just kind of move back and forth like that. So I had a really cute concept for this piece and it kind of fell apart in execution. Sometimes that happens. I do feel like I learned a lot. I do feel like I utilized some techniques I'd like to try again, but I feel like I overworked this piece. And I think one of the contributing factors to that is towards the end of the evening, which you guys will see at the end of this segment, I had kind of a pretty egregious bit of a migraine, and it just makes it so much harder to make good artistic decisions when you're in pain. Now, I do have a primary care physician appointment coming up in April. That's the soonest they can see me, so don't worry about me. But I do want to disclose that because I think it's important to talk about when your disabilities do actually disable you and they prevent you from actually pursuing what you want to pursue. Because for people who have disabilities, so much of our lives is about minimizing them and hiding them and not letting other people know because it can make it a liability to hire us even though it's not supposed to. And we just spend a lot of time not talking about the things that may make work a little more challenging or a little more difficult. So this is my vlog. I can talk about migraines if they affect me, I guess. So something else I kind of want to talk about is at the end of last week's vlog, which is actually I had to edit that vlog twice. The first really long, rambly version went out to my art nerds. You guys actually got to see the second, less rambly version. And part of that was I just had a lot of anxiety about the vlog, and I could have gone back and edited it tight several times, but I decided to just not share the stuff that's making me kind of anxious and just live with it. So you guys saw the shorter version, but at the end of the shorter version I talked about moving the majority of the tutorials I make over to Patreon. It could be Patreon. I was kind of thinking Patreon, Ko-fi, and maybe starting YouTube memberships. And just giving everybody access to the Discord server as well, because there's a lot of boards that the public don't have access to on Discord. So tutorials would be shared on those places, which would incentivize people supporting the channel. I would share an occasional tutorial that I think might appeal to the general public here on the channel publicly, but as I mentioned, they're some of my lowest ranking views. I think a lot of other artists are having problems with this, and a lot of artists have also pivoted. I've thought about this a lot. I'm still kind of thinking about it, but I got some really positive feedback from some patrons over on the Discord, so I'm feeling pretty good about it, and that definitely seems like a direction I'm going to kind of move in. I will still share art to the community tab, and if you like a piece and you want to know how that piece was made, you can check the Patreon to see if there's a tutorial there, or you can ask me. You might decide to back in specific months because you happen to like the art previews that you're seeing on the community tab. So this could be a win-win situation for everybody. It's just kind of depressing to have your reviews that you work really hard, not your reviews, I'm sorry, your tutorials that you work really hard on, tanking your analytics. That is really a hard thing to deal with. So I think just taking away the view count, taking away the need to make it popular, and taking away the fact that it can tank my analytics will help me feel better about the work that I'm producing and the tutorials that I'm creating. And hopefully it'll inspire me to stretch even further and make even better tutorials in the future. So you guys can probably tell I'm feeling pretty good about that decision. So this segment here, me painting these segments, they've actually been chopped up and time-lapsed quite a bit because they're just part of the vlog, just to show you guys kind of what I'm working on. But this is actually going to be one of the first tutorials that's going to be up on, well, I have done Patreon exclusive tutorials in the past. I've done Kickstarter tutorials in the past, or Kickstarter exclusive tutorials in the past. But this is gonna kind of mark the turning point of most tutorials are going to be up on Patreon, and some of them are going to be available to the public. You just need to go to my Patreon and you can find them there for free, and some of them are going to be only for members. But like I said, I feel really pretty good about that decision. I think it's the right move to make. Okay, this is City Putt. It's part of City Park, and it's a nice little putt-putt course. It's about $10 per person to play, and I believe there's 2 courses. Both of them are Louisiana themed. And there's 18 holes each.
You gotta whack it back.
I did. Okay. This is a tricky one, I guess.
No, it's just up.
If it comes all the way
no.
It really did. It likes me too much. Okay. I'm afraid if I hit it too hard, it's just gonna bounce out. Okay, I can. No. No, stop. Okay, where is it? Oh, I see it. At least it didn't bump out. All right, last one. Hole 18, par 3. Joseph's up for the putt. Wow, he already putted. All right.
Under par. That was cool.
You are hopeful. Hole in 5. All right, so that was City Putt. They have 2 different storybook land. They have 2 courses, 2 18-hole courses, the Louisiana one and the New Orleans one. Most of the holes are really well maintained, and although some of the water traps have been drained, which is kind of a bummer, but I understand why. So anyway. After a few rounds of putt-putt, I returned to my desk to return to finishing up this painting. Wow, I totally botched that. And by this point, I definitely had a migraine right behind the eye, making the judgment just not great. I'm going to go ahead and point out some of the things I don't super like about this piece.
up until this point, it's coming along. I really like the colors in the background. I like the color story going on. I like how you can see those pinks, those yellows, those purples coming through Kara's skin tone. But I do feel like something's up with this Fabriano paper. I think I left this drawing on the paper too long. I think there is some damage or contamination along the edges, because you guys can see up at that top edge where it's like a darker purple. That's not because I painted it a darker purple. That's just something up with the paper. There was also a lot of spidering and a lot of muddiness that I don't normally get on Fabriano. Fabriano, the 100% cotton rag version of it at least, is usually, for me, really solid. I have friends who hate it, but I haven't had these problems, and it's kind of disappointing because I used to use it when I was doing realistic portrait studies, and I found it to be a decent paper, so it's kind of a bummer that it's just not really cutting it for me anymore. But I do think it is a combination of issues with the paper. It's sitting too long, and it's just starting to degrade. And, you know, art supplies do degrade. If you don't use it, you lose it with art supplies. And this illustration has actually been sitting on the paper surface for at least a year, maybe a year and a half. It was one of those things that just kept getting shuffled under other things, and I kept forgetting about it. So I wanted to just go ahead and finish it up. See, at this point, it's still pretty cute. There's things I'm kind of noodling around with and fixing and adjusting, but it's still pretty cute. But then I overwork it, and it ends up just kind of overworked, and it loses a lot of the freshness that I was really trying to convey and I was really trying to bring to it. And I think part of it was I was really struggling to ink clean lines on this using watercolor. That's one of the techniques I really use, where I'll use a darker version of that color and basically do an ink, quote unquote inked line around it, just to kind of give it some definition. And I was having a lot of difficulty with spidering on this paper. So instead of being able to utilize darker mixes of the same colors in order to pull the contrast I wanted, I was more reliant on inking it than I kind of wanted to be. Because remember, it started as a pink line art. It should be a lineless style. And I was hoping that with these sort of bright colors, it wouldn't be so noticeable that I'd inked it. But the real mistake here is me inking the eyelashes. I inked them straight up with black ink. What I should have done is I should have tried to ink them in watercolor first, even if I had a migraine, even if my hands were shaking, even if the paper was not behaving well. I should have tried to ink it with the watercolor first and then added in a little bit of black later. But it just really, in my opinion, kind of skewed the contrast and killed some of the vibrancy and some of the spontaneity and some of the freshness. Of course, I further hammered that in when I went in and added white gouache, and I just really goofed it on the eyes. You guys will see in a minute. I wanted to do like a cute flower shoujo reflection that you sometimes see in cute anime and in cute manga, and I thought that would kind of liven it back up a little bit and add a little bit of whimsy back into it, and it didn't really have the intended effect. So see, here's where I kind of went overkill, and I really feel like that and the inks just really degraded a half decent piece. Definitely not one of my best, but you know, it was a fun one, and not every one of them is going to be your best, so you know. But what I wanted to focus on in the tutorial aspect of this is laying down really bright, vibrant undercolors and underwashes and letting that influence the art on top. So that's going to be the focus of that tutorial, and maybe I'll even talk a little bit more in that tutorial about analyzing your work. But even when a piece isn't a huge success, there's still a lot that can be learned about it, and I'm glad I took the time to go ahead and finish this off. It's another one off of the to-do list, and I still had fun painting it, which is sometimes making art for the joy of making art is enough reason to make art. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening.
Hey arty friends, I have so much to talk to you guys about today, but I also have so much to do today.
So let's combine the two a little bit. So today I'm actually working on my lesson plans for Art Squad with the St. Charles Parish Library. Their main, I don't want to say lesson, main drawing topic for Thursday is bunnies, and we let the kids pick. And the subtopic is drawing hair. And drawing hair is something that I obviously, with a comic, I have done a fair bit of it, but I don't necessarily have a lot of resources already made that specifically focus on drawing hair. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to create some resources. I'm going to prepare zhuzh up some existing resources, and I'm going to do some studies so that when we're teaching them, hopefully I can be articulate. I'm also planning on recording some tutorials just in case we don't get quite enough covered during Art Squad, because it's only an hour long. They can go to YouTube and find those resources, or we can send them the link and they can find those additional resources if they're interested in learning more. And that kind of segues me into my second topic. Let me turn off the sound. Sorry. For me, when Discord boops like that, I know it's like, y'all have told me, like, when you hear my computer sounds, it's distracting and you think it's your computer, and I 100% get that. And it also sometimes breaks my chain of thought. So, quiet. No sound. Quiet. All right. So, the second thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, and while I talk to you guys about that, I'm going to actually look for and print some of the existing how to draw hair resources that I've created. And I know I did a live stream like 2 years ago back, where we talked about drawing hair. Not that I can necessarily, I can't find that one, but not that I can necessarily pull from that. But I have talked about it before, just not to these kids and not in this class. So the other thing I want to talk about, and this isn't the full announcement. Oh dear, give me a sec, because I'm looking for, I don't know why I'm in this. Oh yeah, now I know why I'm in this folder. Drawing hair. And mostly I'm printing this for my own reference. I have made some really good resources over the years. It's a shame that the better ones, I only share them with art nerds on Patreon, sorry. I don't know why you think you're landscape. I don't really want you to be landscape. But I guess I'll deal with you being landscape. Anyway, the second topic I want to talk about, and this isn't a full announcement, let's call this like a soft announcement, because I'm still kind of working out the nuts and bolts and I'm still kind of thinking about this, is after talking to some of my art nerds over on the Paint Box, so some of my patrons over on the Paint Box, I've gotten a lot of feedback from them on, brain don't want to work. So I have been mulling over the idea of making many of my tutorials, most of my tutorials in the future, making them available through Patreon, through Ko-fi, and possibly through YouTube memberships. And one of the reasons for this, the big reason for this really, is that they are just not, they kind of tank the channel. They tank my analytics because they're not particularly popular. They tank my views. And, you know, that is just something I've really struggled with. It's something that's made me depressed. It's something that's made me feel like what I do isn't useful and that people don't value it and that I don't have anything of value to offer. And it's really difficult to continue to make and share things when you feel that way. So what I've decided to do is I'm still going to upload them to YouTube. I'm going to leave most of them as unlisted, and I'm just going to share them on Discord, share them on Patreon, share them on Ko-fi, and maybe share them on, maybe start up a YouTube membership so people can access those if they want them. So on occasion, I will still share free tutorials, like the how to draw anime eyes is going to be up to the public.
and probably the hair drawing tutorial will be up to the public, but I make a lot of tutorials and I'm just going to share those over on the sites I just mentioned. And that way I'm not overloading my week with like a million tutorials, and that way what I do share gets more views. Hopefully people talk about it a bit more because they actually have time to consume it. And it doesn't tank my analytics, right? If it's on unlisted, it shouldn't tank your analytics. Don't actually know. I don't know if uploading stuff to YouTube that's never shared and it's just on unlisted, but you use it for other things, affects your analytics. YouTube is not really super crystal. They're still touting the do good work and talk to other people and comment on videos as how to solve that situation, which I tried that and it hasn't worked for me. Maybe you get to a point where you're so tanked it doesn't matter. I don't know. But basically that's going to leave the channel with these vlogs, with the reviews, with live streams like the chill streams and like the unboxing streams, and if I do decide to do random how to do XYZ live streams, those will still be available. But if you enjoy the tutorials, if you want to support my work and you want access to those, you can find them on one of those platforms that I just mentioned. Another thing is I will probably put some of the tutorials on Patreon, but up on the public where anybody can see them as an incentive to regularly check my Patreon. And I'm going to continue to share art and previews through the vlogs and on the community tab and on my Instagram. So as of right now, I've slept on it for a couple of nights and I feel really good about the decision. I feel really comfortable with it. I think it is a good move for me. And I think I've noticed other channels making that choice. And I understood at the time, even when I was like, I'm not going to do that. I understood at the time why they did that. And a lot of them move over to Skillshare. I've always had a personal mission statement of removing the gates that keep people from getting into art and trying to make art accessible and affordable. And not that Skillshare isn't an affordable way to do that, but Patreon is even more affordable. For $2 a month, you'll get access to all those tutorials you might have been missing out. $2 is really not a lot of money. Most people can scratch together $2. So I feel good about that. Plus, it also helps me continue to buy the materials I need. If I get enough patrons, it'll make it feasible for me to dedicate the amount of time I dedicate to these things, and it might inspire me to do even more tutorials that are even more in depth. So, and it'll remove that hurdle of like not getting enough views and no one sharing it and no one talking about it and no one commenting on it, and it just gets really depressing. And then I am really depressed, and then that shows in my work, and it shows in how I talk to y'all, and it shows just basically in everything, and it wrecks my confidence. So I'm feeling really good about this decision. I'm still kind of thinking through how I want to handle it, what I'm going to still share on YouTube, what's only going to be available through Patreon. I'm not going to change any of the content that's already up. That's still going to be up. It's going to be up until I leave YouTube. So if you enjoyed that content, it's still available. But in the future, most new tutorials, especially watercolor and Copic marker tutorials, are going to go on Patreon. Something else I'm kind of waffling on the drawing tutorials because I know a lot of younger viewers enjoy those. A lot of people who are new to art enjoy those. So I do still want them to be accessible, but I also know teachers are sharing them to internet blackboard systems like Moodle, and like streaming them for their classes. And a while back I did a vlog where I asked if you're doing that to please reach out to me and talk to me so I know you're doing that, and so we can work out what kind of content your kids might be interested in seeing. And only one teacher has done that, but I'm still seeing links in my analytics regularly from several different of those types of e-learning school sites. And I don't actually have a problem with the teachers doing that. I have a problem with the fact that they've cut me out of the equation. They haven't reached out to me. They haven't talked to me. To my knowledge, and I might be wrong, none of them are backing the patron. And if you are, please let me know, because that does kind of change things and it kind of changes my relationship in a good way with you. So putting those tutorials up on Patreon and making them $2 a month to access all of them, which is really not any money at all, it's less than a cup of coffee, then I would feel better about teachers who have backed the Patreon sharing it with their classes. I would feel good about that. So I like that it recontextualizes my relationship with my tutorials. It recontextualizes my relationship with my work. It makes me feel like I have a little bit more agency. The art nerds who have talked to me about this say that they feel it increases the value they're getting out of Patreon, which is awesome. And just in general, I feel like it's a good move for me. And it's kind of funny because it took me a while to come to this conclusion, to this decision, but I knew it was always an option to just make them patron only. And what always kind of kept me from doing that is tutorials and reviews for a long time were the bulk of the content on the channel. But now that I'm doing the weekly vlogs and I'm doing chill streams and I'm doing unboxings again and I'm doing haul videos and shop with me videos, I now have general content and I have premium content, and I feel okay about putting my premium content that takes a lot of work, a lot of research, a lot of energy over on Patreon. And because I'm recontextualizing it, I don't mind now spending even more time researching products the way I used to do for the blog. So I'm feeling really good about this. The only way I could have ever come to this decision was playing around with different types of content here on the channel and trying new things and trying more casual things, because that kind of freed me up to take the more polished things and put them elsewhere. And it'll also be cool because you guys are going to be getting sneak peeks at what I'm working on all the time. So if you decide one month, like, you're seeing a lot of cool stuff coming up in the vlogs, that might be the month you decide to back. And if you want to unsubscribe, you're welcome to do that at any time. So yeah, I'm actually feeling really good about this, really positive and hopeful about it, which is nice because that's definitely something I've been working on, and the views and the channel kind of suffering has been such a thorn in my side, as you guys know. I don't mean to just like complain about it at you. Often these vlogs are also an opportunity for me to talk through things and figure things out and problem solve, just kind of talking to myself in a way, which I'm also talking to y'all, but I'm also talking to myself because it's not like I'm facing someone. Although, to be real, I am definitely talking to myself because I have it set on selfie mode so I can see what's in the frame. So now I'm just talking to myself, and that's kind of okay. That's kind of okay. This is kind of like like the way it's framed and stuff. It's kind of like I'm actually chatting to somebody, and COVID's made me so lonely. I'm so sorry. Anyway, so today I'm going to work on class prep, and I thought I might share that with some of you guys because some of y'all have asked about my teaching process, and I have shared a lot of my materials for my teaching process over on my Patreon. In fact, they get everything that I generate for classes. They get presentations, they get templates, they get the step-by-step stuff, they get PDFs. If I have like sketchbook work, they get that. If I have a video for it, they get that. I try to make it possible if one of them wanted to start their artistic journey that they could do that utilizing what I've shared on Patreon. I have like this big class thing that I started when I was teaching through NCE, and it's aimed at making comics, and it's basically designed around 2 6-week courses. I share that's for patrons. They're the only ones who have access to it, and it's got a mix of links of stuff that's available to the public, like on the blog or on YouTube, as well as stuff that's only available to them. So if you've been on the fence about whether or not you want to support what I do try to create a rich experience for my patrons. Sometimes I'm not so successful. Like in February and January, I feel like I really wasn't that successful because I was spending a lot of time rethinking how I wanted to approach YouTube and my relationship with YouTube. So I hadn't spent as much time generating that. But with Art Squad, I do get to generate new assets. That's another thing too with COVID. unless somebody contacts me and commissions me to teach a class virtually, which I'm available to do that. Please email me if you're interested in that. I'm happy to do homeschool groups, small groups of 5 to 6, classes like Zoom classes for your school, Zoom classes for your library. I've done Zoom classes with St. Charles Parish Library. Obviously, I teach a lot online, and I've taught a lot in person. So if you're interested in that, please email me. Don't comment, because I'll miss it. Email me, becca.hilburn@gmail.com, and we'll work something out. But I haven't had as many of those kinds of teaching gigs, so I don't have as much opportunity to generate new teaching materials for that specifically. But with the Zoom Art Squad meetups, I have been generating pieces here and there. Like all throughout December, I was creating a lot of content for Art Squad, like templates like design your own snow globe and design your own gingerbread person and design your own Santa's elf and design your own cute Santa's elf, stuff like that. It's kind of, a lot of it's low key, but I enjoy doing it, and I enjoy being able to share it with my patrons, because they might want to do it with their kids, they might want to do it themselves, they might want to share it with their class. So yeah, feeling good about that. I'm gonna go check the printer, and we're gonna kind of retool our focus to how I go about preparing for and teaching a class. So before I dive into that, I wanted to show you yesterday's piece. Remember, I didn't really like it yesterday. I actually pointed out a lot of problems with it yesterday, and those problems are still valid, but I have slept on it, and I like it a lot better now. It's not perfect. There's things I could do better, especially like some of those flowers were painted a little sloppily, but it's pretty cute, and I'm actually pretty happy with it. But what I really like is the underpainting technique that I use to help get some of that color. So that's definitely a technique I'm gonna be playing. I mean, I've always kind of played with it, but I've kind of played with it with muted colors, but it is so fun with really intense pinks and yellows. I want to try going even more intense next time. And this was a similar technique to what I used in the New Year's illustration in order to create the firework effect for that. But anyway, it's teaching time. So first of all, a little bit of a flex. I don't know how much you'd consider this a flex, but it's a flex. These are various iterations of presentations that I've done, with some of my favorites being Learn to Draw Anything, From Stick to Figure, and Manga Madness. Those are some of my favorites. And I think the one I'm looking for today is going to be in Manga Madness, because I already printed out a bunch of the how to draw hair, but I wanted to show you guys the source material. And basically anytime I'm teaching in person and I know I have a projector, I make one of these, which is not always great. But what is great is that my amazing art nerds on Patreon have gotten all of these at some point in the past. So there's a lot more of what I'm making that you guys don't necessarily get to see. Okay, friends, this is future Becca here. So what I end up doing today is I end up working on a tutorial about how I teach or how I prepare for my classes. And I'm actually pretty excited about it. I think it's going pretty well. And it's very much still in progress. I'm only like a fifth of the way through. But rather than, originally I was going to share that as the vlog, but there's actually a lot I want to talk about, so I'm going to make that into its own video, and I'm just going to share kind of a highlight reel of what I worked on today rather than all of that. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and I hope you guys will look forward to the full how I go about preparing for classes video in the future. So these are just some of the hair studies that I'm doing to help prepare to teach this mini tutorial on drawing hair.
I always over prepare anytime I'm going to teach, and I don't necessarily see that as wasted effort. It helps me grow as an artist. It increases my body of work, and often I can reuse it here on YouTube or over on my Patreon. So I don't see this necessarily as, just me generating more work for myself, but I see this as an investment in myself as an artist, in my drawing abilities, and in the body of work I have to offer. So for these studies, I'm working from photo reference, and while I'm definitely drawing the head underneath and trying to accurately depict the head underneath, since that does affect how the hair falls and it helps you better understand how the hair is falling, my main goal is to really try to better understand these hairstyles and kind of capture these hairstyles. You guys have probably noticed that there aren't any male hairstyles here. It's not that I'm not going to do them, it's that I got kind of lost drawing all these gorgeous hairstyles for women and girls, but I am definitely going to practice working on some male hairstyles because that is an area I am very weak in, and I definitely need to put the time in and practice that. My second and last Inku crate also arrived today. This is the March Inku crate, and I shared the unboxing as a stream. So if you guys want to see what I thought of the March Inku crate, you can click the link in the card right here and check it out. I have a Zempop stationery box that's supposedly coming this month as well, and I want to compare the two boxes once both of them have come in and I've had a chance to look at them, so we can decide together whether or not Inku Crate or Zempop is the better Japanese stationery box. Look at this cute soft bub. Bowie! Hi, handsome. Okay, y'all, so it is 9:30. I'm feeling just pretty wiped out. I did several hair studies to help me prepare. So what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm actually not going to share my how I teach classes tutorial, because it started as a vlog and now I'm kind of treating it as a tutorial, and I like that. And I want to make it its own standalone unique video rather than cramming it in a vlog where people who need it might miss it. So that isn't even, y'all are not even going to see anything but like a highlight reel of that. Sorry, but keep an eye out. I will probably share it to Patreon, maybe share it on the public side of Patreon. We'll see, we'll see, but it is going to be its own standalone tutorial. So what I ended up doing is I ended up doing several pages of hair studies, partially just because I realized like this is definitely something I need to practice for more. 1, 2, 3,
4, and I still want to do more. Tomorrow though, I really need, if I'm doing new templates, I really need to like get on creating those templates, sending them out to my co-host so that I can work with those when I'm recording the tutorial and so that the kids have a chance to download and print them. And then once that's done, I can do more hair studies or I can record the tutorial. But tomorrow is such a play-by-ear situation because we have the wood-burning chill stream, which, please cross your fingers that it doesn't rain. It was supposed to rain all day today and it didn't start till 6, so cross your fingers for that energy. Also, if you've ever noticed that the focus and the exposure on this camera is weird, it's because it really struggles with this light wall. But I need this light wall because it actually generates a good amount of light. It's just it's a weird toss-up situation. I also did the Inku crate unboxing and I had a blast. It was so much fun, but I definitely kind of used all my energy between, well, see, I'm all ADHDing myself. All right, so most of today I worked on hair drawing tutorials and recording a tutorial on how I generate classes, which I'm really excited about. I think it's going to be pretty cool. I also agreed to go with my younger brother to Walmart so he could pick up a wood burning kit. So there was about an hour of driving and some Walmarting in there as well. Basically, as soon as I got back, I horfed down the delicious dinner. No joke. I sound facetious, but I'm not. Joseph did smoked salmon and cream cheese on crackers. It was super good. I love smoked salmon, and that was very tasty. But I had to eat it real quick. And then I did the Inku box unboxing, and that was about an hour of just pure energy. And that left me pretty whipped, so I watched some John Oliver, which will certainly get my heart rate up, let's say that. This time he was talking about rating, which is like police rating, which is not something I am pretty aware of it. It's something that obviously really bothers me. It's garbage. To put it mildly, but so sometimes when I watch John Oliver, if it's a topic I'm not familiar with, it'll like really tick me off. Like I get really upset because it's like I'm finding out about this terrible thing all at once. But I was aware of this terrible thing, and I've actually, donated money to bail funds, and I've been pretty vocal about being very opposed to rating and swatting. So it wasn't news, but it is still upsetting, and I'm glad he did. Although, honestly, I felt like he handled it a little bit flip, and some of the jokes were not really well placed. I do know a lot of people use humor, myself included, to process really horrific things. So if you are of a sensitive nature, though, I can't recommend watching it, but it is important to be aware of the things that are going on in this world so we can make this a better place, so that we can fight and change injustices. So took my break by watching John Oliver, and then proceeded to try and do some more studies and take some more notes while listening to a podcast. But I'm just so my attention span is just shot. I'm just shot. I don't think I'm going to get any good out of this at this point. So I think I'm going to call it an evening and just try to wake up earlier and start the grind anew. But yeah. Anyway, it wasn't a bad day. I'm just tired and I'm ready for a break. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye. It's Tuesday, and the wood burning live stream was rescheduled for today because Monday had scheduling conflicts. So both yesterday and today, it was going to rain all day. Yesterday, it didn't start till 6, even though it was overcast. It has been raining from 6, hasn't stopped. We're going to do it on the porch, and the porch seems okay, I guess. It looks pretty dry. But it's still a pretty glum day to be outside live streaming. So, true to my word, I slept on these template designs. And while I was getting up and ready this morning, I had a better idea. And I kind of hate when that happens because, well, I hate when it happens because I get to do it all over again. Yay. But also, I get to do it better. I'm glad I had the idea. Yay. So it's definitely kind of a catch-22.
And definitely goes to show you that when you're exhausted, you're not going to have your best ideas. And sometimes it's best not to push ourselves when we're that tired. But I did get a second wind last night, and that's kind of what propelled me to do it. It's just my brain hadn't fully recovered. The energy was there, the soul was not. So back to the Surface Pro 3 with the stylus. What I'm going to do is just something very simple this time. It's just going to be an oval, a neck, and maybe a bust. And it's not even profile view, so they're still going to get the 3 views if they want it, but they're also going to get just a straightforward profile view, and that might be a little bit easier for some of them. Okay, so it's almost time for today's chill stream. The weather outside is really gross and really cold. So even though we really planned on doing it outside on the porch, I just don't think I think people would get sick doing that. I don't think that's feasible. So we're setting up in here. I'm gonna open some of the windows, hopefully to get some ventilation going. And hopefully we just won't freeze in here. So we're doing a wood burning chill stream. Yesterday, my brother went and picked up the plaid wood burning tool. This was like about $12. Heats up to 750 degrees. And they show somebody burning a spoon, which is actually kind of cool. And oh look, this one comes with different tips. That's neat. I did not think... It does recommend we use pliers to screw points into the end of the burner pin. Hey, would you get me a pair? Do you know where a pair of needle nose pliers are? Now, what I have also, in addition to that, because that's a good idea, is I have these little silicone fingertips. I have one of the Chandler wood burning kits. And then I also picked up a Crafter's Closet wood burning tool. So we'll have 3 going today. This one was only $10. It looks pretty similar, but not exactly the same as the plaid one, and I don't think it comes with any extra tips. This one only gets up to 716. So what I have is I have some stencils to kind of make it a little bit easier for people. I've got some stuff that I've pre-drawn, and then I've got a bunch of blanks. So I'm just gonna focus on getting set up for now, or as set up as possible, because the stream is supposed to start soon. And I haven't done any promotion for this one, which is a shame, because I was kind of not sure about the weather, and there was just a lot up in the air. So sometimes when the weather is just unpredictable like this, I end up not promoting the way I should, because I'm just kind of waiting to see if we can salvage the day at all. So I have a silicone mat, but it looks like this cord is just not going to stretch. So I'm going to need some extension cords. We've got these finger covers. So those will be good. I actually have enough for almost everyone participating. That's gotten increasingly challenging to make sure I have enough for 3 people or 4 people. It's a lot harder than just prepping for 2. With 2, you can actually share most kits, but with 3 and 4, it gets to the point where you really kind of can't. So this is a silicone mat, and that's gonna prevent these tools from burning the table. I have a tablecloth down because while we want to burn wood, we don't want to burn the tablecloth. And to be real with you guys, I have not watched any additional wood burning anything because I've been either too busy or too brain dead to be able to focus on that. So I'm a bit remiss in that aspect. Joseph, do we have some extension cables?
I'm not sure where the extension cables are. We do have those very long surge protectors.
Oh, well, I have a surge protector, but this cable is just...
I said very long surge protector.
Okay.
You might want to also get a crucible to put the tips in.
What could I use as a crucible?
Any kind of ceramic pot. Oh, how about those little holders, the potted plant holders?
Oh, you're right. Terracotta would be great.
Yeah.
Now, I know what a crucible is. I'm like, how can I make a crucible at home with zero preparation and no planning? Okay, so this is what we've got so far. All right, I may have neglected to watch any wood burning anything in advance like I should have, but I can do it right now. So there's a few videos on the channel, or not on the channel, on YouTube. I'll try to link the ones that I've watched in case you're watching along at home. But I'm not gonna play them here because nobody wants to watch like super bootleggy YouTube. But I guess I'm gonna start with Dylan's DIY workshop, the basics, how to wood burn. So Dylan's basics were actually pretty helpful. All right, I'm gonna check out another one. This is from Super Wood Burning Tutorials, Stroke Techniques and Tutorial. Bo's having a hard day today because his Feel Away diffuser ran out of the Feel Good smells. But fortunately we had some spray Feel Away, so I sprayed his favorite blankets and he's just kind of hunkering down and weathering through the bad feels. But after the stream today I'm going to go try to buy some Feel Away diffuser so my boy can feel better. Hey bud.
Raining again?
Probably. It's been raining off and on all day because we were going to do this outside, but the temperature has got... Okay, so I needed to hit Michael's because I need to get some more Prismacolor pencils for sketching for my art squad classes because doing those hair studies is just eating up all my pencils. So onward to Michael's. That's my mom. Cute Easter stuff.
Yeah, but those bags aren't as cute as the one at FiveBelow.
No, the FiveBelow ones are pretty cute.
These are canvas though.
Oh, they have cute garlands. Must resist.
Hey, what are these?
Cookie cutters. It looks like, or
those
candy
cute,
punches.
huh?
They are really cute.
And look, it punches it out.
Yeah. Oh, those are cute. Oh, those are cute. Yeah, I'm gonna be saying that a lot, I guess. Cause Easter stuff is like my favorite because it's all pastel and cute.
Baskets that look like carrots.
Oh, they have that. Oh, those are cute. They have the ones that look like cut grass.
Yeah, look at
Oh, look,
these
they even
so
have the
cute.
ones with the not soft bunnies.
And they already got the
Oh, these are actually
rosemary.
kind of cute, except it's just a head. So at first
Look
you're
at
like,
over
how
top.
cute
Look
they're
at this
peeking
one
over.
too, look.
And then you look and it's just like, nobody.
This one's got carrots in it.
That one does.
So I
Someone
don't know if it's
did some
separate.
set dressing.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Oh, the little piggy.
Yeah, the
That's a
animals are
cute little piggy.
Even this is not as soft as it looks.
No. It's probably very stiff.
What about the sheep up here?
Ooh, they've got canning jars.
Look how
Oh, those
cute
are
these
plastic.
Mac. Look.
Never mind. Oh, they're mold. They're supposed to look like molds.
Aren't they cute?
Like
I know,
jelly
candy
molds.
molds.
Kind of a shame they're not. Oh, here you go.
Look at that.
This could work for cards.
Yeah, or anything.
Anything. You could put flowers in it even. Yeah, people I think don't normally decorate for Easter, but this year is such a weird, sad year. Yeah, I was kind of thinking
yes.
about an Easter garland, and then I was kind of thinking
Yeah.
that probably wouldn't go. Yeah, I don't think he would be super into 16 different
Tell
garlands.
me you're preparing to move.
Prepare to move by acquiring more stuff. Oh,
Look at this.
ornaments.
Cute too, back look.
That is more for like over maker station, but the fold out tray is pretty. Ooh. One day.
It's like the wires.
In the water.
Oh, I've never seen that.
Okay, here are all the fabric markers. I have quite a lot of them actually. And the tulip color shots. One of these days I'd like to play around with these on a craft stream, but knowing they're here, I can just pick them up when we finally get around to it. Yeah, fabric paint and like the fabric spray paints and stuff. Because you can use stencils and stuff.
Color tie-dye.
I think we would have been overwhelmed with color. Two-minute tie-dye. That is bull, because I'll tell you, it took about 5 hours to process the clothing. All right, the new sewing section coming along. Not manned, but they do have a button, so you can call somebody to you.
Oh, they have cotton tape.
They do, and they've got a fair selection. No, they didn't.
So this is.
And it's not the biggest, but it's better than nothing.
Trying to jump on board.
They also have what you'll need to make various popular projects.
Resin.
Yeah, these are
Resin molds.
resin supplies for bangles and all kinds of stuff. The coasters are actually kind of cute.
What is that with the hair thing? Oh yeah, look, you can make hair clips.
Not today, but I do
I'm just
want, I
saying.
know, I do want to do resin casting at some point. The coasters might end up being, I'm gonna do the breeze by tour since we spent a lot of time looking at other stuff. Ooh. Quickly breeze y'all by the watercolors, because these basically don't ever change, although they do have the Niji water brushes. Okay, so it's fairly late. I have all this mess to clean up, and I still have work to do on my class. Plus, my brother has a job interview, and he asked if I would meet up with him there so he's not I guess, going through it alone. So I guess I'm doing that on Thursday morning before Art Squad. I definitely often feel like I'm kind of juggling too many things. So while we were out, I saw that you can actually use, theoretically, you can actually use a wood burning kit to do leather branding. So that might be something we explore way later in the future, because all three of these tools were kind of flawed and had problems, and it would be nice to find a use for them, because this is a lot of equipment for it to not ever get used. So anyway, I guess my plan right now is to clean up and then see how I feel. But I'm definitely feeling kind of whipped this evening, so I definitely do need some downtime. So after I cleaned up the dining room table, I was pretty much whipped. Went to go take a bath, came up with a fun concept for a game that Joseph and I might work on in the future, and I'm just chilling out and watching Tasting History. I might make an early night of it and just try to hit tomorrow harder. Today was a bit of a wash. My special guests for the chill stream came 2 hours late, which made it difficult to focus on preparing for class on Thursday because I was waiting for them. I didn't want to start working on class stuff and then get called away, suddenly. So it definitely makes it a little bit more challenging to plan around, but I am definitely doing my best, and I saw some neat... Hey guys, it is Wednesday, and ideally I'm going to spend today prepping for tomorrow's Zoom Art Squad club meeting and getting that how to draw hair tutorial wrapped up. So cross your fingers for me. Yesterday was a long, stressful, anxiety-filled day, and it required a lot of recovery, so I called it an early evening. And I'm still not feeling 100% right now, but just gotta make the best out of it. Bowie's trying to decide whether or not outside is really where he wants to be. He's got a lot of rambunctious energy today, and unfortunately, I don't know that I have a lot of time to help him spend that rambunctious energy. But I'm about to do some hair drawing studies for, class prep. And then I'm going to record that how to draw hair tutorial. The computer restarted on me last night with no notification, and I lost my how to draw hair notes that I'd been taking. Normally I write them in Google Docs, but a notepad is a little bit more streamlined, and then I'll copy and paste them into a Google Docs. That didn't happen this time. My memory is so terrible right now from so much going on that I don't recall any of that. I'm sure it'll come to me, but these things happen, and when they do, they can be very stressful. This week has just been a lot. So I didn't manage to get all of the hair studies that I wanted to get done yesterday. It was just kind of a long day that ran pretty late. So I started today off by doing some hairline studies in my sketchbook so I could better understand them. I'd done a few hairline studies before when I was preparing some of the templates, but I found a lot of conflicting information, so I wanted to create some of my own, studying the front, the profile view, and the back view.
That's a big bummer. It's never fun to work on something and lose your notes. My friends who are writers know how bad it is when you lose your writing notebook. My fellow comic artists know how bad it is when you lose your sketchbook. Never a good time. But that doesn't have to stop me. A lot of what I need is actually still in my sketchbook. It's just not in a verbal form. So it is going to take some thought and some effort to reprocess it again. Or I could just opt not to and try to trust myself to know it. Now, when I'm doing great, when I'm not burnt out, when my ADHD is not at an all-time high, when I'm feeling like my brain is really clicking along, I love flying by the seat of my pants because I know the stuff. I know the material, and often that's when I produce my best material. But when I'm burnt out, when my family has completely drained me of energy and brain power, and when my ADHD is at an all-time high, it's hard to trust yourself like that. And that's often when my teaching becomes really stiff and really rote and really boring. So finding a way to protect that last spark is a challenge for me. I'm sure it's a challenge for many of you who have very needy families or very intense pets, or you have kids. I'm sure it's something you struggle with too. So if you've got tips other than make time for yourself, because I think this just goes beyond make time for yourself, let me know down in the comments below, because I don't want to talk too much about it. This is not the point of this tutorial, but it does make me feel like I've been robbed, and I resent the people for doing that to me. So that is something I cannot continue to allow to happen.
So here are some snippets of the upcoming how to draw a hair tutorial that I recorded today. Hope you guys will keep an eye out for the full tutorial. It includes a whole lot more than just this. And I hope you guys will also keep an eye out for the how I teach classes or how I prepare for classes tutorial that I'm also working on while I'm working on this. It got real meta. I was basically recording vlogs about recording tutorials about recording tutorials. Tutorial recorded. Now all that's really left for tomorrow is to talk about drawing hair with the kids, which honestly is going to be the easier part, because like I kept telling you guys, Art Squad is an hour long. We're going to be spending the first part of that drawing rabbits. If enough kids don't show up, we might spend the whole time drawing rabbits. If enough kids do show up, we'll segue into drawing hair about halfway through. But some of the kids may decide they want to keep drawing rabbits, or they may want to draw something completely different. Because, again, this is not a class. We're not going to force them to do anything. It's more like a club. And if they want to draw something else, more power to them. But I still prepped for it like I would prep for a class, because I wanted to show you guys some of my prep process, kind of help shed some light, I guess, on how I approach teaching classes. I'm going to record, or I'm going to share one more behind the scenes segment with you guys where I actually show you how I set up and get ready for Zoom classes, regardless of whether or not we're teaching them anything or if we're just hanging out with them. But I'm going to do that tomorrow. So since I have an early start tomorrow and I've got a lot on my plate, I decided to take it pretty easy today. I did some voiceover work for 3 mechanical pencil reviews. I hope you guys will keep an eye out for that. I also did a little bit of painting for pleasure. I am hoping to turn this painting into a tutorial that I'll then share with my art nerds over on Patreon once it's completed. So if you're an art nerd, keep an eye out for that. But I thought it'd be a little bit of fun to show you guys my painting process here. I'm working from a photo that I took while I was at Banting's nursery, and it's of an amaryllis, and I think it's really beautiful. My challenge is to capture a good likeness of it. So hopefully tomorrow I can put the finishing touches on this painting. Okay, so it's about 30 minutes before Art Squad officially starts. 15 minutes before I'm usually, required to kind of log on. So I need to get my desk cleaned up, and I also need to get my setup in place. So
today's art squad, my brain just died on me. Today's art squad, we spent a lot of time drawing rabbits from reference. We attempted to talk about drawing hair, but the attention span was not quite there entirely. Fortunately, I have a how to draw hair tutorial that I'm going to be sharing with them. That way, if anybody feels like they missed out or they didn't get quite what they needed, they can watch that tutorial and hopefully learn some pointers. But in the art squad, we definitely have some pretty strong artists there, so my general advice of just practice drawing from reference hopefully will be taken to heart, and we'll see some significant progress, because I tell you guys, some of these kids are super duper smart and already really talented artists. So I always enjoy doing art squad. The kids always bring my energy levels up, and it's always fun to draw with them. It's almost like hanging out. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial on how I prepare for art squad. If I were preparing for, let's say, a 2-hour class, my preparation would be a little bit different, maybe more presentation and more handout heavy. I might generate even more templates and examples. But this gives you guys a pretty good idea of how much I prepare even for a really short tutorial. The next one I'm going to be working on is how to draw hands, which is an area I can certainly improve upon myself. So you guys know I'm going to be doing a boatload of studies. And remember, you don't have to be good at drawing, but if you're teaching art, I highly recommend you keep a sketchbook of some sort, either digital or physical. Whatever helps you get those visual ideas out into the world is great and works for you. It's about working for you, but I highly recommend you keep.
Hey guys, it's Friday. Emotionally, I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, kind of just rough. So what I was thinking I would do today is, instead of focusing on making art or sitting here at my table staring at the wall for an extended period of time, I thought I would just go ahead and do some housework, maybe screen some videos. I pretty much screen every video I release. The only exception is the vlogs, because I screen those while I'm editing them, but I will still go through and kind of like half listen for certain points. So sometimes when there's issues in a video, I'm aware of it, but I either decide it is not egregious enough to affect the viewing experience, or it's something that I can't fix, like it might be a lighting problem, or like the lighting strobing into my camera, something like that, that I don't necessarily have the ability to fix, but that I hope to work on in the future. I don't know, I like listening to my own videos. I don't always like my own voice, but I'm very used to my own voice. I used to be on a comics podcast, so like I've had to hear my voice a lot, and even though it is sometimes an annoying voice, it's the voice I've got, and I just kind of deal with it. But sometimes I'll stream my videos, like listening to the audio while I'm driving, to make sure that the music isn't louder than the narration, and just to make sure everything kind of makes sense. Sometimes I will like sit and actively screen videos. This is something I do. So with the time-lapse videos, because I'm narrating on top of it, I'm watching it usually as I'm narrating. So I'll screen those auditorily to make sure the audio is good, but I don't necessarily rewatch them because I was watching them as I was recording the narration. But if it's something that I do, like, okay, I draw something and I'm narrating as I'm drawing it, and then there's a time-lapse portion or something, I will usually screen the whole thing just to make sure the visuals work as well. And I watch a lot of YouTube, but most of the YouTube I watch is like like s'mores dank pod reviews. I really get a kick out of those, or J.A.S. Townsend stuff, or Lead Into Art, which is a podcast that is reshared to YouTube. Or I used to be really into LPs, Let's Plays, and now I'm at the point where like I don't want to watch any of them. I've like oversaturated myself. I've tapped out. I don't care. But we still watch a lot of them because Joseph likes them, so a lot of LPs. What else? I just kind of like whatever, like tasting history. I will both go through my subscriptions to see what's good and add it to watch later, and then in the evening when I'm brain dead, just go through watch later. And I also will go through recommendations. I'm always looking for like new stuff, so I'm not just always watching the same creators over and over and over again. The guy, Kiwami, Japan, the guy who makes knives out of everything. We've been watching a lot of winter garden stuff, which is this guy who's created like a mechanical drum machine out of marbles. So, I mean, we used to watch a lot of primitive technology, a lot of cooking. So from Wolf Pit to Chef John to Country Kitchen I'm sorry, it's really called Chef's Kitchen, but I call it Country Kitchen. It is the beigest show. And sometimes we have to turn it off because anytime they're cooking something from Louisiana, it's wrong. And I'm just like, nope. Why couldn't they ask somebody who knows what they're doing? But, so I do watch a lot of YouTube, and something I think that's kind of interesting is that every niche category of YouTube has different production standards and is edited differently. And people who have a shop, like Lucky Penny or like Townsend's, will often, Lucky Penny's kind of the exception here, but will often have like really high production values because they're also demonstrating what they're selling in the shop. And I know a lot of artists also have a shop, but I think artists handle YouTube differently than brick and mortar stores that are getting product from other manufacturers handle YouTube. Also watch a lot of abroad in Japan, so a variety of stuff. I also like Dancing Bacons, where it's all just like no talking, just subtitles, not even music, just like not even time lapse, sometimes just the actual audio. So I see a really wide variety in production values on YouTube. And one of the things I have said from the beginning that I don't ever want to do is I don't like when YouTube tries to be television. I think it loses a lot of authenticity. I think when the production values are too high, it starts to feel unrealistic. And one of the things I like about YouTube is there is, for many channels, there is an attainability. Like, for example, I like to watch Jerry Rig Everything's teardowns. I really like his phone teardowns. I know sometimes he sent the phones. I know sometimes he buys the phones. But I like that he puts all of the phones through the same, like, I'm gonna break this phone test. And it's literally a camera, for the most part, pointing down as he digs at the phones. And they're very formulaic. They're always done the same way, which is something else I really like about it because it's very consistent and very standardized. And he has kind of a quiet, dry sense of humor. So he's not like looking to like wow you or like have you in stitches the whole time. It feels very off the cuff and it feels very casual, not like somebody working from a script. And not that there's something wrong with that. Like, we also watch Technology Connections, and his is very scripted. He also has a teleprompter, and I think sometimes he goes ad lib, but I think most of the time he chooses not to. And he has like a set background that's obviously for YouTube, but I still like his stuff because he'll include his bloopers sometimes, and it's all weird stuff that wouldn't necessarily be like YouTube gold. So I feel like he's taking topics he's interested in and adding production values to that. And while he will take suggestions, it's really driven by what he likes rather than what YouTube is telling or suggesting that he do. So I try to watch a variety of YouTube, not just art channels, not just other artists. I try to watch all kinds of different things. And I do have like some observations to make. And some of this is my personal taste. Again, I grew up with television. I'm not looking for television. Like, I grew up with standard cable. You turn it on, high production values. Things often feel fake. They feel flat. They feel staged. They're a little boring. And cartoons for me were very much not like that, but just like live action TV in general felt that way. So like, I don't like that in YouTube. I avoid that for the most part in YouTube. Hi, Joseph. I was just talking to them about what kind of stuff we watch on YouTube and kind of talking about what I like, because I've noticed that some channels have like really high production value and some have like none. And some of my favorites have like none. like, he doesn't like Dank Pods, but I like Dank Pods. I think that guy's hilarious. And his production value is tabletop on top of a green iPad and just tearing at it with whatever he's got. And then you've got, like, Louis Rossman, who we've kind of moved away from watching as much. And his is weird because it's a lot of, like, talking to a big, expensive microphone like you're on a podcast. Like, why does he need that? Why does he need that audio quality?
Has $10,000, what's it called? Microscope.
Yeah,
You know,
that
for the
makes more
computer.
sense for the computer repair. I'm talking about when he's just talking at a camera. Why does he need a super expensive mic?
It's important to have good audio quality.
You can get good audio. I think my point is rather, I think some people for YouTube feel pushed to have this professional quality stuff for no reason other than other channels are pushing to have professional quality stuff. And, like, I don't know him personally, so I don't know his jam. You know, like, maybe he really likes audio equipment and he just doesn't talk about it. And that's his, like, sub-passion. And that's why he has a really nice mic, is because he always wanted a really nice mic.
I think he just puts money back into the channel for money he gets from the channel.
That is true, too. But what I was saying is I feel like when videos become too polished, and I actually don't like this content, but I've seen more of it than you have, where it's basically like Good Mythical Morning. Sorry if you like it, I don't. I'm not saying it's bad. I think it's super staged, and it's like a very polished set at this point. Two dudes, expensive camera, expensive equipment, doing whatever. It feels like Good Morning America to me. Like, I think it's very boring. They could be doing anything. They could be doing the thing I love the most, and it would still feel boring and staged to me. And it's because the production values are so high that it is no longer, to me, this authentic, organic, spontaneous thing. It's become this very curated thing. I know, though.
People like Crash Course or whatever.
Yeah, and I don't.
It's just
It's
a
highly
TV
polished
program
edutainment
that's
by
on YouTube.
PBS. I don't like it. I watch it, but it's not YouTube. Like, if I want to watch YouTube, Crash Course is not what I want to watch because it's too polished.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like the guy, David Banks, the guy in Japan who runs a print shop, and he does... David Bull, thank you. And, like, his stuff to me is a good... that might be the difference. Okay. His stuff is a good in-between because his audio-visual equipment is good enough, but it's not the best.
I'm pretty sure he has a good mic.
But his workstation, his work equipment, the things he gets his daily bread with are nice. That might be the line for me.
Those are the things he uses for his job.
Exactly.
But the thing is,
that's the YouTube line for me.
Louis Rossman, for instance, bought that microscope partially
for his job. And that's why I like his microscope,
YouTube.
but I think the big, expensive podcasting mic is a little dumb because he's sitting in his armchair talking to a computer. Like, to me, it's like, why do you need that? But that's, like, my personal opinion, and I'm not ragging on him. I'm more, like, analyzing.
For all you know, he bought that in order to record instructional videos that he sold.
You're right. You're right. I might.
Because he did used to do courses in his shop, from what I remember. I don't know if he still does that, but.
Well, see, the reason I'm talking about it and analyzing it is, I always want to improve the quality of my videos, but I don't necessarily always think better audio video is the solution to actually improving content. I think that's often like a surface level of polish. Yeah, upgrading your equipment, especially a standards change, can be important and necessary, but it isn't always going to actually help or make a difference.
I think better audio will almost always help.
Probably, and my audio sucks. I know that, but we're working on that, so...
Yeah, you just need to plug in the thing.
Mm-hmm. I'm probably going to do that today because I want to record some voiceover work. But like for example, other artists, and I'm not pretending like I have watched every video that every other artist has done, but you often get like this really nice thumbnail, and then you're actually watching the video, and the angle's kind of weird, and the lighting's kind of weird, and I'm fine with that because that is a person at their desk or at their computer making the things that they make. There's a layer of authenticity to that. And when it gets too polished, I start wondering who paid for you, which is a me thing. And it's weird because it's contradictory, because I believe artists don't get paid enough, and I encourage other artists to chase that coin. And like, if there's a sponsorship that you agree with and you use the product and you like it, like, chase that dollar. So I'm more analyzing this because I think I'm always thinking about, and not always successfully thinking about, I'm always thinking about what I can do to make the quality better, but without like completely taking away fun and spontaneity. And the more you have a set, like this in a way is a set. My table, the lighting, it's a set. And it's a set to make my art color accurate. It's a set to get rid of any harsh shadows that would obscure the art for the most part, because I try to have like omnidirectional lighting. I don't have the backlight on because it can be blinding when I'm doing vlogs. But it's a set, and while it is useful for my work and I do get better color accuracy, I also get migraines from it. It also feels very tedious to work in here right now. And there's things in the future I will change. I have said this a million times. This is a rental. I cannot hang things on the wall. I cannot put certain things up. I would love to have art on the wall, my art and my friend's art on the walls. I would love to have the lights in the corners of the room, not hanging necessarily on the wall. I'd like to have egg crate up. Billiam does really, like, the way he's put his egg crate up is really cute. And that's like another thing I'm thinking. I've been watching a lot of Billiam videos, and I think they're really charming and funny, and they're scripted, they're researched. But then he edits in these segments that are just like his reaction, like in the moment reaction. The lighting is bad. The shot is bad. You can tell it was just like good happenstance or it's convinced me. It could be totally staged and I don't know. But it convinces me that it's good quality B-roll footage that work well for the moment. And I like that. And so, like, as I've been watching YouTube, I've been analyzing like what I like, what feels authentic to me, what I don't like, what feels overly staged, what feels overly forced. And I know there was a period of time, and I'm working on this, where my own videos felt very mechanical. And it was because I was figuring out several things at the same time. I was trying to get the video length down. I was learning how to edit my video. I was learning how to present the material that I used to present in class and get feedback on from my students. So I'm still kind of working on that. I think having humor involved is really important, but I have both a goofy sense of humor and a dry sense of humor. So sometimes my jokes just don't land. And unless it's funny to push the joke, I don't like pushing the joke because then you kill the joke. So not only do I watch a lot of YouTube for my own enjoyment, but I watch a lot of YouTube looking for ideas, looking for inspiration, looking for things I can change. And I involved Joseph in that. A, he was coming into the room to grab something, and B, it's honestly often easier. Like, I've mentioned this before. This setup, so my phone is on a tripod. I am talking to, it's on selfie mode, I'm talking to myself, but it's actually easier for me to do this because I'm talking to a person than it is for me to just talk to a camera. And when Joseph came in, it's easier for me to talk and have him involved because he will respond, and I can respond to those responses, and he'll say things that I wouldn't have thought of. So I actually really like having other people involved when I'm doing things, because I like that other people have other ideas. I like that other people have contradictory beliefs to what I believe. I like that people bring up points that I didn't think of. I like that people have their own background coming into this, their own way of doing things, their own expertise. I love that. When I started the channel, one of my big hopes was to get a couple of my other artist friends involved. And then one of my other hopes was, like, as I did cons and traveled the country, to have people guest star frequently. Those of you who've been watching for a long time know that Joseph used to go around and interview. He did this for like 6 or 7 years, interview other artists at conventions to find out what they think about the con and what they're selling and their advice to other artists. And I really loved that mini feature because I like showcasing other voices. And some people, I think, have they have like one video's worth of YouTube that they want to do, and then they're good. They don't want any more. And I wanted my channel to be a place where my friends who fit that category could submit stuff and we could run it. And I'd send them the money if any money came from it. But I wanted to work together with other people. And it has been a disappointment that I could never make that work. Whether it was my friends are very, very shy and they're really not comfortable doing that, which I 100% respect, or there were just geographic differences and we couldn't do it on the regular, or COVID kind of prevents us from being able to meet in person and do those things. It was always my wish to do that, and always kind of a bummer that we couldn't do it more. And it is a time-consuming thing. YouTube in general is a time-consuming thing, and it has distracted me from many of the things that I wanted to do. And I 100% respect my other artist friends who were like, I can't have that. I can't be doing that. I don't have time for that. I don't want that. So that isn't like a criticism at them. I just always wanted more people involved. And, you know, Joseph, I always ask, if he will, because I would love to do more stuff with him. But I try to be respectful when he says no, because not everybody wants to do YouTube. Not everybody's comfortable doing YouTube. Not everybody wants a camera on them. And I also try to be grateful when he does want to participate, because it makes the experience more fun for me. I enjoy the experience a lot more. But, you know, if we've learned one thing from all those family vlogging channels where they force the kids to be involved, is that if you force someone, like, it's, whoo, I think it is wrong to force somebody to be part of something they don't want to be part of. I mean, like, okay, sending children to school, that's a different kettle of fish. But I'm talking about something like YouTube, where even if you're doing it for your job, it's optional for those other people. They didn't sign up for it. They didn't give consent. So I try to be respectful and be grateful for whatever involvement he's willing to give. Because I have a lot of friends who I love a lot who are 100% not comfortable, would not do it. And I respect that. So it kind of makes me appreciate when he does want to be involved. Or as much as having my family involved for the chill streams causes headaches and causes frustration, I also think it can, when it goes well, bring a lot of fun, spontaneity, ideas to the table. It can make it a richer experience. The problem is that other people are unpredictable, and even if we talk about what we're doing beforehand, Devin goes rogue a lot. So it's certainly very unscripted. Often it actually makes me intensely uncomfortable. So, but I do think there are opportunities for greatness. Like, I thought the tie-dye chill stream went really well. I was really pretty happy with it. But I was actually very frustrated with the wood burning stream. And not just because none of the wood burning kits worked well, but because Mom and I tried to get the conversation around going back to talking about the kits and what we like and what we don't like. And it was just difficult. It was difficult. But I still appreciate when other people participate in what I'm working on, so long as they don't come in and like start cursing or start talking about like wildly inappropriate stuff, which, you know, sometimes I gotta like re-steer the conversation as quick as possible because it can get really uncomfortable sometimes. So yeah, and especially as many of us are kind of stuck at home during COVID, we may have lost work opportunities or social opportunities, or we're not getting out and doing the things we used to do. It's increasingly important for me. I am increasingly not interested in consuming overly produced canned content because, like, it feels very dead to me right now. And this is 100% personal opinion, not a judgment call, not a quality call. It is a matter of taste. This is like if I were to say I don't like salad, okay? Like, it's just a matter of taste right now. But because so much of our lives are kind of boxed, it makes me want to watch more people just hanging out and doing a thing, eating a thing, trying a thing. I had it and I lost it. I'm sorry. But it also makes me really not want to watch people like very flagrantly breaking COVID rules. Like I can't watch other people's travel vlogs right now unless they're like traveling by like private train coach. Even that's kind of iffy because then it's like you can just spend a lot of money and access this. It's weird. The way I'm feeling about things, my opinions about things during COVID, for right now, I'm kind of a very different person, and it's weird, and it's weird times for everybody, and I get that. But, like, okay, for example, I like watching videos about train trips. I think trains are cool. The one train trip I took was on an Amtrak, and it was horrible. It was economy class. We were going from Savannah to Baltimore, so it was Otakon. The train was damp and nasty and dirty, and the food was terrible. But like, oh, that's a lie. I've been on a Shinkansen. I've been on Japanese subways. Okay, all right, yeah. So, but compared to like other countries or even areas like the BART in San Francisco and San Jose, or like New York, the train from Newark to New York. Like, those are not great, but they were way better experiences than the Amtrak I was on for 9 hours. So I enjoy train videos because I sometimes like tiny living videos. Like, it's neat to see what people can do in a camper and how they can modify things. And trains kind of scratch that itch. But I also watch a lot of Poirot before I go to sleep. And it's set in the 30s, and train travel is a big thing. So it's just kind of neat to see, like, has modern train travel kept up? Well, first class has, but economy and coach, they don't care about us, has not. So it's just neat, right? That's something I enjoy. And like those train vlogs, many of them are older, and they are really rough. Like real, but I like it. Like shaky cam, like people talking to themselves while holding the camera in front of them, like them editing in text. Like, I love it because this is a person, just a normal person, sharing what they love with the internet. And that's what I like about YouTube, and that's what I want to see more of, is like just kind of impromptu, off the cuff moments, people passionate about things, people willing to take a risk. And I don't like that increasingly I feel like YouTube becomes more homogenized, more polished, more the same. Like, these are the professional standards we're aiming for, and if you're not reaching those professional standards, then your channel is doomed to languish. And like, maybe I should take a page from the book and aim for more professional standards, because obviously my channel is languishing and has been languishing for a while. But I feel like you lose a lot of the spontaneity. So there is a lot of exploration in deciding, like, how polished do you want to go? How much money do you want to spend? When does this quit being you sharing cool things with other people? And when does this become like the money grind? And I'm a professional artist. I also work as a gig art educator. I get like the professional work grind and like taking a thing that other people think should be spontaneous and loose and free, and like trying to monetize it and trying to convince people that it's worth the money and trying to be professional about it. Like, I get that. And that's why I can say, like, that other content, like Good Mythical Morning, it's just not, or Try Guys, it's just not for me. It's become so polished that it's boring to me now. And that's okay. Like, other people like it. They're clearly hugely popular. Me not being into it is not a judgment or a quality call. It is just a matter of taste. But it's a matter of taste that directs my channel. So, I have some housework I want to get done today, and I want to screen some videos to make sure the audio quality is okay, and I'd like to ideally do some voiceover work and maybe try out a new aux cable. So, I have had this lavalier mic for a few years. It has long lost its pop filter, and I definitely have those plosive P's, And when I'm recording voiceover work, my phone definitely catches those plosive P's. And again, we're in a rental, so I go into the bedroom to record, and I'm trying to like surround myself with covers so that we can get rid of as much bounce as possible, but there's still a lot of bounce. I mean, this isn't a professional recording studio. This is a home that we're currently living in that we can't make changes to. And that kind of goes back to the like a real person doing a real thing in their real home, and someone who is becoming kind of a cross between being an actor and being a product rep and someone demonstrating stuff. And I don't want what I do to feel like the second. I want it to be fun if I can, and engaging, and sometimes a little random. So like, I like Atomic Shrimp. I like his channel. I like, he does whatever content from scam baiting to showing people how to cook to like reviewing foods in a can. And I also like Actions. And I like Actions probably has buku money to throw. He has probably bought that brown sofa 6 times by now, okay? Or maybe the brown sofa is only used for recording. I don't know. He doesn't really seem like an only used for recording kind of person, but I don't actually know him, so I don't know. But I like that he has, with all the popularity and with all the money, kept the heart of what made his videos his videos. And it seems like a lot of the other money kind of gets rolled into his other projects, which I also like, because it's like, okay, if you want the more polished content, here it is. But if you just like eating random 100-year-old olives on a sofa, here it is. So I kind of like these vlogs in that it gives me a chance to kind of work through things that I'm thinking about and that have been kind of brewing in my brain. And it's cool to be able to talk to you guys about them. If it weren't COVID and I could talk in real life over coffee with friends, these are the kind of things I'd like to talk about. Like, I had a couple, I thought we were friends. We didn't like hang out a lot because they lived up in Canada and I lived in Nashville, but we met up at a couple of cons, and we would talk about comic craft and storytelling, and I loved those conversations so much. They were fun and fulfilling, and you could feel the mutual respect, and I miss that so much. And you don't have to be a professional to have those kind of, you don't have to consider yourself a professional to have those kind of conversations. To me, you just have to love the thing so much that you've given it a lot of thought, and you've read a lot about it, and you've considered other sources, and that makes it fun. I don't necessarily enjoy conversations where someone is just taking what they've read from one other website or forum and treating it as gospel and trying to like tell me how I'm doing it all wrong, because that's not really a conversation. That's not really a respectful exchange. That's me getting lectured by a stranger I don't know. So I love like geeking out about things and talking about things, and like the more I do art supply reviews and the more I play around with different art supply reviews, the more the more I play around with different art supplies, the more I can see like validity in like Crayolas, for example. Would I recommend them? No, but they're fun to play with sometimes. Rather, would I recommend them to another artist who wants to do professional quality artwork? No. But they're fun to play around with sometimes, and they make some innovative products, and it's fun to play with innovative products that don't cost a boatload of money. So, yes. Hopefully this doesn't feel like I'm lecturing you, because I'm not trying to, like, purport there is a right way to do YouTube. No, that's one of the things I like about it. There's no right way to do YouTube. Rather, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to crystallize the kind of content I like and use that to guide future content, because when YouTube stops being fun, I quit doing it. And there have been some times, as I've told you guys, where it has been very not fun. But one of the things that makes it fun is getting new sources of inspiration, like the Craftsman brings a lot, and his is more polished, but there's a lot of spontaneity and a lot of goofiness and a lot of playfulness to it, that even though the shed he has his workspace in, even though it does feel like a studio space, it doesn't feel like it only functions for recording. See, I'm analyzing what I like and what I don't like. And one of the things I generally don't like is when people have a stage room that is only used for recording those videos and the door is shut the rest of the time. Whereas I really like when people are just working in their home and just doing the best with whatever workspace they have. Figuring things out. Because I think for me, when you start being just a YouTuber and all your money comes from YouTube, to me, then you're like an actor. And I don't watch Good Morning America. I sometimes watch NHK World, but I'm kind of iffy about it. I don't really like overly staged, overly canned stuff. I like spontaneity because there's moments for real greatness, and there's moments where you can really get to understand somebody or really get insight into their process or who they are or what they enjoy. And I think when it's too staged, you lose that and it becomes a job. A job you might be passionate about, but more of a job. And there's nothing wrong with chasing that coin, but for me as a viewer, I don't enjoy it as much. I also really like You Suck at Cooking, which has a lot of humor and bloopers in it. So now you guys probably know a little bit about me and a little bit more about why I do what I do and how I do what I do, and I'm probably hugely unsuccessful with it a lot. But, like, that's the point of learning and growing and trying, especially if you want to do something that isn't just copy your favorite artist and do exactly what she does. And I've been doing this for a while. I started doing this in 2016 for YouTube. Before that, I used to do it all on a blog. So who inspired my work back then? They're very different people now. Their content is very different. Some of them have left. Some of them have left and come back. Some of them are just like, YouTube is nuts, peace. So, like, when people are like, just watch more art vlogs and do what they're doing, it's like, okay, I get what you're saying, but I'm not new, and this is not new, and I'm not just looking to create the same kind of content that everybody else is doing. I'm trying to make something that is Becca and feels like Becca and feels like hanging out with Becca. And that requires a lot of making mistakes and trying things and failing and frustration, because I'm trying to, I won't say invent something, but I'm trying to take a bunch of very disparate inspirations and a lot of myself, which is weird and quirky and has weird tics like picking at my nails and has some neurodiversity issues, and I'm trying to put that in a format that is me and not overly polished, but polished enough that people actually want to hang out. Yeah, say it like that. Yeah. That's all right. And these vlogs sometimes give me horrendous anxiety because I try to be very careful about what I say. I don't want to hurt other people. My memory is not super great, and certain things change very quickly. And while I try to stay up to date with them, Twitter would have you think stuff changes every 16 hours. And what some people will set your house on fire mad about on one platform, they don't care about on another, but it's hard to tell. So, I have a lot of anxiety from like inadvertently hurting people I don't mean to hurt, but because my memory's not the best and I can't always keep 100% up to date with things in terms of like social rights, I don't want to mislead or hurt other people. Like, that's one of the big boundaries I don't want to cross. So if I ever say something, give me the benefit of the doubt assume it was unintentional, but please do reach out to me. And if you don't mind, educate me or drop some links, drop some knowledge on me, because I am a person and I'm always growing and I'm always trying to become a better person. But I do make mistakes, and it is not my intention to harm other people. But like everyone else, I do get annoyed with people sometimes. People sometimes get on my nerves. People sometimes repeatedly do the same annoying thing, even though I've told them to stop. Like, they're daring me to, like, really say something. So sometimes if I come across as kind of brusque, there could be underlying reasons behind that as well. Maybe I had a really hard day. Maybe my brain is ADHD shot, and the only way I can get through what I'm doing is to just be blunt, 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 blunt. Maybe this is somebody I've butted heads with a lot privately, and I'm not going to be rude to them, but I'm also not going to let them talk all over me or correct me without proof, or, you know, like there is, the thing about the internet is there's always more going on than people realize. So I find it best in general to just either give people the benefit of the doubt or to quietly ask them for more information and make sure they're okay. I'm gonna go do housework. I have rattled on way too long, and I'm gonna resent having to edit this evening because it's like, girl, why you talk so much? All right, housework time. Okay, so these came in today. These are the Wingsung 3009 or 3009 piston-filled flexible brush tip fountain pens. So basically they are brush tip fountain pens. I don't know why I overcomplicated that. I have talked about a lot of different brush pens on the channel over the years. We've talked about water brushes. We've talked about the Pentel pocket brush. Before I was talking about it on the channel, I was talking about it on the blog. And I have been aware of these types of brush pens for a while, but I kind of always talk myself out of them. Now, I have purchased Wingsung fountain pens in the past, and I thought they were pretty decent for what I paid. So that's why when I saw these, and when a friend of mine asked me if I would do a video talking about different types of water brushes, I figured, why not? I'll give them a shot. So I believe these are really designed to have fountain pen ink in them, and I'm sure I'll use them for that eventually. But what I was kind of thinking about starting them off with was just plain old water. But the first thing I think I need to do is I need to clean these out the way I would any fountain pens, and that way I'm going to just be able to remove factory grease, any kind of grit, anything that might be stuck in the feed, and just clean them out pretty good and let them dry. But before I go ahead and wash these, I want to at least unwrap one and take a look. So we have this feels a little bit loose. We'll get to that in a minute. We have a metal clip. It kind of looks like a Lamy Safari. It is a screw cap, which is a little bit annoying for a brush pen. There is nothing in the cap itself, no kind of sleeve, no kind of gasket. Like, let me see if I have one handy. Okay, this is a different one. This is from AliExpress. Oh, it also doesn't have any kind of a sleeve or gasket, but often fountain pens, especially nicer fountain pens, will have like a cap on the inside. Like you see this a lot with Pilot stuff, and that just kind of helps prevent additional evaporation. These weren't that expensive, so I don't feel that bad about it. Okay, so we've got our white nylon bristles. You can see they actually go pretty deep into the pen. Then we've got the fins, and that's going to help draw ink. We also have a wick, it looks like, inside. So basically, when you ink this thing up with a color, it's probably going to be very difficult to get all that color out. Then, so it looks like it's a piston fill. Y'all hear that snap? First time I've heard one like that clicks, but this one, it rattles a little bit. It doesn't like lock into place. Seems well greased up. And then you can't get it all the way depressed. There's always probably going to be a little bit in there. Just the design of the thing. And then we have grease down at the bottom again. So this one is going to be a fun but annoying one to clean. We have an O-ring. So at least when you cap it, The O-ring helps with keeping the cap on securely, preventing it from leaking all over your bag, and with evaporation. And these were 3 for $15.99. And water brushes do tend to be kind of pricey unless you're buying the knockoffs. So, you know, 3 for $15.99, a little steep, but not too bad. Happy Saturday, guys. I was having kind of a bummer day today, and Joseph hasn't been feeling well. So things have been pretty low key around here, but my Zenny order came in and I did a little mini live stream unboxing them and trying them on because I thought, you know, they'd be fun. And someone was sweet enough to tell me that my videos help with their anxiety, and thank you, because that's one of the reasons I'm doing them. When I'm working and I'm having a hard time focusing, I'll watch different YouTubers just for, if I'm not like, you know, recording audio, just for company, just so that it's not just me and the wall looking down at stuff. Or Joseph and I will listen to contests, to challengers, not because we don't enjoy talking to each other, but because we also enjoy listening to them. So that's one of my goals that I'm working towards, is trying to make stuff that makes you guys feel like you're hanging out and a little bit less lonely, because right now a lot of people are lonely. So it really means a lot to me when people say that to me, and I could literally never hear that enough. So thank you. But I wanted to show you guys my glasses, so that just to include them in the vlog, since, you know, with the vlog I'm trying to show most of what happens in the week, not everything. There's some things you guys don't need to know about. So this is a Zenny order, my second Zenny order. I ordered 4 pairs. They sure know how to get me, because once you start a wish list and you start adding stuff to your wish list, they start sending you recommendations based on that wish list of what's on sale currently. Whew, they know how to get me. And I've had my original 4 pairs of Zennies for about 6 months. I wear them almost every day. Mostly if I don't wear them, it's because I forget and I'm not driving anywhere. If I'm working on art, I'm usually wearing them. And I have 4 pairs of those, and I wear 3 of them all the time. The blue ones, these, and the floral ones. And I still like them, and I still plan on wearing them. But the thing is, with these, you can't do the clip-ons. You can't do the add-ons. And I talk about that in that unboxing, as well as the live stream I just did. So if you're interested, like if you're legit interested in Zenny as an optical solution, please watch those, and then I'll answer any questions you guys might have. And like I said in the live stream, we're not affiliated. I just like cute glasses. I like cute accessories, and Zenny are very affordable and come in fun, bright colors. So when I ordered these glasses, I was looking for specific traits that kind of filled in the gaps with my original 4 pairs. So this is one of the pairs. I wanted something that was not as dark and heavy on my eyebrows, and I wanted something that worked well as sunglasses. And some Zenny glasses have an optional sunglass clip-on, some don't. These are the amber tinted add-ons. So I do a lot of driving, and I don't like having to choose between being able to see and being able to see. So I like that these had optional sunglasses. And anybody who knows me, anybody who's been over, knows I used to have a sunglass rack. Basically, it was just 2 thumbtacks in the wall with a ribbon, and all my sunglasses were hung on it. So I am actually really into accessories, even if I don't always show it. I'm actually kind of slowly working that back in with the vlogs, because they give me a reason to dress cute. I did order one kind of plain pair. The yellow is very cute, and they're a little bit smaller. So these are like my cute librarian glasses. Making eyes at Joseph in the background over there. I ordered a pair that have the add-on UV blockers, because in the studio, it's the surface of the sun. It is all UV all the time, and I get a lot of migraines and I have a lot of eye strain. So I thought a pair with UV blockers might actually help with these. And I think these are children's glasses. They were recommended to me by Zenny, because I have a more petite face. And the color is really cute, and I got my name engraved on them. And they're blue, maybe like UV light, I don't know. So these are gonna live in the studio, and hopefully I'll be good about putting these on when I know I'm gonna be painting or drawing for long periods of time, and hopefully I can protect my eyes a little bit better. The final pair has a couple neat add-ons. These are just sparkles. like sparkles and metal. So they're pretty low key on their own, which means they would work with any outfit. But these not only have a sunglass add-on with, it's like gray to green. So try to get something a little different every time. That's the fun of Zenni and Zenni glasses. They're all really weird. Well, some of them are really weird, and I wish I had the confidence for the really weird ones. I can only imagine getting like a single pair of the really weird ones and Joseph being like, you spent 40 on that? And me being like, oh. So I would get really weird, but I'd get really weird if they were like $5, you know what I mean? 40 is like a lot for like something you're gonna wear 5 times a year. Okay, so these have the gray-green tint. And then, because I find I've been doing a lot of driving into the evenings, it being Louisiana and everything's really spaced far apart, I also got the night vision ones, which when I put these on during the stream, I blinded myself because they really amplify the light. They're okay inside. So they're just yellow tints that should theoretically help with the starburst. So I wanted to show you guys these because vision for artists is important, and I'm farsighted, so things up close I can see very easily. Things far away are blurry blobs. Yeah, they're blurry blobs. So, you know, having decent glasses is important, and many of us just don't make enough money to, you know, have glasses that both suit our personalities and are affordable. But what I like about Zenni is they have a bunch of really cute styles. They have all kinds of add-ons. Now, to be fair, the add-ons do increase the price. The add-ons I have here were like $3 to $6 each, but they have add-ons that make the glasses like $160 a pair. Most Zenni glasses are plastic, so they're lighter weight, and they do come in fun colors, but they're plastic, and they do, for the most part, have plastic lenses. So there's definitely trade-offs to these glasses, but there's also a lot of pros, and I really like them. I've been very satisfied with them, and you know, if we were buying glasses for our kid, I'd probably get one pair from like a nice pair from the optometrist, and then we would just get cheap Zenni glasses, because if they got stolen or if they got crushed, you don't feel bad replacing them. It's not a hardship to replace them. And this is, I'm sorry, this is not an ad. I just went without updated glasses for 10 years and I couldn't see anything, and I was really frustrated, and I wasn't improving in my art because I couldn't see. If I was drawing from life, I couldn't see what I was drawing. So being able to see, it can help with your migraines. It can help you pay attention in school. I mean, it doesn't solve everything, obviously, but when you can't see, it causes a lot of problems for you if you're an artist, or you have to learn to work around them and work that into your style. So I'm just like kind of excited about Zenni because I'd hit different ophthalmologists. I'd hit a couple of different eyeglasses shops, and everything was kind of boring, and the staff was kind of rude, and it was just like, oh, is this all they've got? I want something fun. And then I tried Warby Parker because, I won't lie, all the influencers talk about Warby Parker, and I was like, I'll give it a shot, why not? And I wasn't impressed with them. I got the box, and the glasses were all just like really blah colors, and they were plastic, and they were acetate, and they were expensive, and it just looked like my papa's glasses in the 50s, which, if that's your jam, that's your jam. And that wasn't really it for me either. And then Joseph was like, have you tried Zenni? And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, I don't know, I saw it on Slick Deals, why don't you check it out? And I kind of like wah-wah'd about it for a while, but I'm really glad I tried them. They have some really cute styles, and they have some really fair prices, which most of us are broke right now. So you can now be broke but not blind. Not that there's anything wrong with being blind, but if you wear glasses, you might like Zenni's. So that's my little unsponsored ad, because they don't even know I exist, but I'm just really happy with their glasses. And it was a bright spot in my day. Woo! Bye! Living his best life.